Trump's tariffs, markets react. Well, technically, no. They actually went against a certain rule that Trump couldn't use the tariffs as a way to, I don't know, for something about national emergency. The point is this, that in doing so, Trump in the past 24 hours, today is Saturday, about 28 hours after the actual ruling by the Supreme Court, what they actually did was that they made it so Trump has a clear path to use other rules to do whatever he basically wants with tariffs. He increased tariffs yesterday with 10% and 15% this morning, I believe. And interestingly enough, crypto markets, because obviously TradFi is closed today, are reacting very well. Yeah, they haven't gone parabolic. However, something that I think is really interesting to note is that not only did they hold stable, but this morning, when I was doing some trading and some market research, I noticed that the total crypto market cap has actually ticked up in the past 5 or 6 hours. Again, Saturday morning, which is usually the most dead part of the market. Saturday mornings are usually pretty boring. Saturday afternoons are a little bit better. And Sundays is when you start to see those crazy jumps up or jumps down. But again, noting that Saturday morning, things are actually doing pretty well. Interesting. So my opinion on this whole situation is that there was no clarity. And you heard Trump talk about it at this press conference yesterday as well. There was no clarity for basically almost a year, right? Last year in February around this time is when the whole temper tantrum of the market crashing and we're all gonna die, Trump tariffs until April. And now we have the resolution. We have clarity in this sense that, really, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video. It's always free to share, like, and subscribe, and it helps me create better content so I can give it to you guys. So with regards to the tariffs again, they were hanging on the market, kind of like a cliffhanger, and not letting us actually make a decision as a market if we want to go up or down. It did it for TradFi, but remember, TradFi moves in sense, percentage there, unlike crypto, which can go into a bear market, go into a bull market, 20% either way, in a matter of hours. And because it's the weekend, crypto is always a predecessor to what's going to happen Monday morning when the stock market's open. And also the predecessor to futures, commodities, futures exchange market opening in Chicago on Sunday evening. Now that we see that 24 hours markets have to digest after the ruling, Trump has said, we don't give a shit. I talked to Secretary Bessent and we're gonna go forward. And this is the clear path forward, not is this gonna happen? No, hey, the Supreme Court has a case. Now that hey, everybody's coming in. Now that we understand that we are going to have tariffs in one way or another for the next 3 or 4 years, and on top of that, that the Supreme Court did not write in the decision specifically that Trump had to return any of that money, which most likely means he's gonna give us the freedom dividend later on in the year. Shout out to America 250th anniversary celebration. Now we can fully have the market stabilize. First, we're not gonna see a parabolic move. Stabilize for the next 24 to 48 hours. This is how I see the next week or two playing out. We now have in the United States of America, we have what's called the State of the Union Address. The president every year traditionally goes out and he speaks to a joint session of Congress. He invites everybody, both parties, all of Congress in the House chamber, all of the US Senate, the judiciary, all the chief of staff, generals, and he gives a speech that lasts like an hour to 2 hours long. What he says in that speech is going to be interesting because last year he didn't talk about crypto in it. He didn't really talk about crypto at all. Like if it was like a general speech, unless it was like a crypto specific conference, he never really mentioned crypto. But something very interesting happened last month. For those of you that have been following me, he mentioned crypto at the World Economic Forum in front of the whole world, and he made it a priority. On top of it, he said that he will be signing a crypto clarity legislation, quote, soon, end quote. To me, that signals that this year, because usually what the State of the Union address is talking about the successes of the prior year and talking about what are the main priorities for the upcoming year. I can be 80% sure that he will mention crypto and the Clarity Act in one way or another. In addition to the fact that they had their third meeting on this past Thursday for the Clarity Act in the White House with representatives of the banking committee and also the crypto committee. These are closed meetings and they're not allowed to have cell phones, but supposedly they're meeting all this weekend, today and tomorrow, in order to finish the deadline, meet the deadline that they have for March 1st for them to squash the beef. And it looks like, not 100% sure, at first they were saying that the crypto companies were going to have to cave and figure out other ways, alternative ways to basically give yields to customers. But in a twist, they're saying now that depending on how they write the legal language, with Ripple has a legal department, chief legal officer, I believe it is, CLO, these other companies, they might write in a way that benefits both sides. This is what I'm hearing. I'm not 100% sure. This could be breaking news if it's true. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. They might write in things like, for example, right now, if you hold USDC, a stable token, in Coinbase, you automatically get rewards. But what if you didn't automatically get rewards? You have to opt into it. Or you have to make purchases using it. Something where it's not automatic, where regular people that have bank accounts aren't just gonna say, oh, I can just hold USDC in Coinbase and get rewards. Make it a little bit more difficult. Again, it'll make the banks happy. It's gonna be a situation where neither party's 100% satisfied, but I could see how this were working. I have a Coinbase account amongst many other accounts. I have like 7 different exchanges, centralized exchanges and decentralized exchanges. This is breaking news for a lot of people that are not in crypto and you're watching these channels and you're on the fence. It's gonna be very important what I'm about to tell you. They just released 4 days ago an email letting us all know that USDC rewards now aren't just going to be paid automatically in USDC. You can also opt in for them to be paid in Bitcoin. So what if that's part of the goal? Say, okay, listen, we can't just have people store USDC or use USDC on the exchange and get USDC rewards, but they're going to get Bitcoin rewards. And that's, depending on how you write the legislation, that's technically not stepping on anybody's toes. Again, the point is this. The head of the crypto council of the White House, Sachs, President Trump, they're all on board. And President Trump has directed the Office of Crypto in the White House to say, listen, no more of these guys sailing across the aisle to each other. We are leading the conversation now. We're going to get this through. By March 1st, they're going to have a 100% clean version of the Clarity Act that they can bring to markup. And listen, don't let people gaslight you. A lot of people, what they're saying now is, oh, yeah, they're saying that, we're going to basically have it across the finish line by March 1st. And they think that what that means is that President Trump will have it on his desk and signed by March 1st. No. That means that they're going to have a version that they can bring to markup in the committee. Once they mark it up in the committee, then they're going to have a full U.S. Senate vote. Once this U.S. Senate vote happens, then they're going to kick it back to the House. And after that, President Trump's going to get the signature. This is the third to last week of February. If they move fast, which they can move fast. I hate to say this, but you saw Epstein. They moved that shit through the Senate and the House in less than 5 hours with votes in both chambers. If they move pretty fast, I can say this. Brad Garlinghouse is saying 90% chance they're going to pass it by April. I can see this happening the second or third week of March. That's if they move fast. If they move at just regular Congress speed, because, okay, it's not the most important thing, again, unless President Trump makes it a key part of his State of the Union address on Tuesday. If they move at regular Senate speed and Congress speed, blah, 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 I can see this happening probably, because, again, they've had this lingering for a long time now. This could probably happen, realistically, President Trump signing it by beginning to mid-April. I'm not saying 100% sure, because people are listening to my channel, DMing me, close friends, oh, you said this, you made that. Everything I say is not financial advice. Do your own research. Do not invest significant amount of money that you could lose and you need to pay rent because of something based on something that I said. Just know that I am considering what I know about how state level legislation works, how things work in DC. Always give them more time than they actually need, because, again, they can move things fast if they want to. But sometimes they have an incentive to move things a little slower. But they also have, in addition to everything I said, they also have something very, very important. They have midterms. These people spend a lot of money, especially in the U.S. House, which is not that big of a deal for this, I guess. I'll talk a little bit more about that. The U.S. House, every 2 years, once you win an election, you basically go into re-election mode. Something really important, you have a few senators that are up for re-election. You have 1/3 of the U.S. Senate up every two years. This year, there are some people, like, I believe it's Senator Ossoff from Georgia. He's a Democrat in a state that's extremely Republican. How he won, that's neither here nor there. It happens. Kentucky's a very Republican state, and they have a Democrat governor. But these are people that are in states that if a good Republican were to launch a campaign against them, they could win. Like, for example, Governor Kemp, very popular governor in Georgia, if we were to say, listen, I'm going to run for that Senate seat instead, which he's not going to. You know, the point is this. I'm not saying politicians are good people, but elections and election pressure works because, one, every politician wants to get elected to office. Two, every politician wants to stay in that office. And three, they want to stay in that office until they can get elected to higher office. Don't anybody tell you otherwise. I don't give a shit if it's a state representative, a city council member, they were voted to the teachers union, something, reason, whatever, I don't care. Every person believes that one day, and I know this for a fact, they can be president. So every decision they make is based around, can I get reelected? Well, first can I get elected, then reelected. So you're gonna start seeing a lot of pressure being put on people like Senator Ossoff, who voted against the Genius Act last year in the first round, but after talking to all the lobbyists in the crypto space saying, hey, listen, you have a re-election in 2026 in a state that you probably could lose re-election, he changed his mind. So I'll talk more about this in the future. I don't like to talk too much about politics because it's a bit more complicated. I'm a lobbyist, so I do a lot of this stuff, but it's gonna be an interesting year. But listen, at the end of the day, tariffs are settled. That was the first thing, right? And then Iran, whatever, we'll figure that out as it comes. That means that upwards and onwards. Enjoy your Saturdays too, because why not?